Welcome to Steve, where all your hopes and dreams come true. I'm Steve, that's Max. Today on Steve's Studio Tours, we're going to my buddy Devin Bing's place. He's an awesome keyboardist, pianist, producer. He does really cool film scoring, sync music, and a whole bunch of other things that we're gonna learn about. We're gonna go check out his studio space, do an interview, get to play a couple tunes. It's gonna be an awesome day. I'm really excited to bring you along this journey. So let's go check it out.
Got a thing for you that I can't let go. My friends wonder what is wrong with me.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Devin. What's up, man?
Come on in.
Whoa. Thanks for letting us into your humble abode.
Of course, of course. I hope you like color.
We love it. Wow, look at all this natural light. This is great. So talk to us about this space.
You know what it is? It's the first entrance where you get to really see my little plant hobby obsession. This is my fiddle leaf we bought, I got like five years ago when we first moved in, and this is it now. And it's invading, and I'm so happy that it's happy there. Spider plant, we got our wandering Jew over there, which is the best name for a plant ever. So this is the living room. This is where we hang out.
So when clients or friends come over, to make music, is it a mixture of hanging in the studio and out here as well?
What I really liked about setting up a home studio and working with artists and clients and who actually become friends as well, and then bringing them into the folds of like friendship as they blossom, and you bring them in and you break bread with them and you hang out with them. Yeah, I like that. I like that aspect more than the commercial space where it feels like very just sterile. Sometimes we come out here, but a lot of it, the studio's set up to be a vibe. The house is an extension of that. Mostly the house is my wife's doing. The studio is really just me. Then we're gonna go into the supper club. This is our homage to New York City, where I'm from. I'm from Long Island. And Maddie went to FIT and lived in New York for 10 years, so she got her New York badge. And this is off of a restaurant called Gino's in New York. Kind of got the inspiration from that. You gotta have the Seth Thomas metronome.
Wait, show us that how that works.
Wind it up.
This is the early days of metronome.
Yeah, vintage. You have all your numbers here, right? And if you want to get faster, you kind of just do this. You're supposed to let it wind down, like that's like the proper way to do it so you don't, I guess, break it. And it's old, so I generally do that. And you're right, it's like a metaphor for life. Just let it wind down. This piano, so when we first moved into this place, I think this is supposed to just be for like a buffet table, for like, the dining room. But I said, this has gotta have a piano in it. I mean, it's just the perfect nook for piano. The Yamaha U3.
Tried and true.
Yeah, the tried and true was like the first, you kind of look at that, love Yamaha. They were on all the practice rooms at the University of Miami. So a lot of miles on those I put on. So, but it was just like like an inch and a half too big over here, So like I searched far and wide through LA trying to find the right piano that sounds really good for this size. And I found a Kawai Studio.
I feel like the Kawais have the vibe of the Yamahas too, at a cheaper price point.
Totally. No, one of my first piano teachers had like this beautiful white Kawai baby grand, and that's like where I first started. He was like my first like jazz piano teacher. I don't know, I put that in quotes. That was literally, yeah. So I knew it was a good brand, and I knew that I liked it, and then I played it, and then it has all these options, like I can't do it now, but like I can, take off the top, take off the front, and then I can run mics through here from the studio and track it. It's got like a felt option, so you can get that like nice felty soft piano.
I guess you'll wonder where I've been.
So when do you find yourself using this piano versus virtual piano or stuff in the studio?
The virtual pianos are so much easier, but this is gonna produce a certain sound. It's not gonna produce a grand piano sound or whatever, or like, sort of maybe like an epic ballad sound. But if you have maybe like a singer-songwriter, maybe like indie rock kind of vibe, you can get some things off that. Also, I will just use it to kind of like record and see what kind of samples I can get out of it and stuff like that. I use it as creatively as I can. So we open this up, and then we have this little felt pad here, right? You just kind of let it let it sit there.
Such a great different sound too, because it's a little brighter when the felt's not up, but this goes the total opposite direction.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just got such just like a pretty, I don't know. You know, it's just, you can do so much with it, you know?
Do you find that when you have the felt on, it inspires you to play things that you wouldn't have normally played without the felt?
Absolutely, because you're hearing different harmonics come out of it, you know? Oh, exactly. Like even like, it kind of sounds like those kind of like triodes like outside of the, like kind of the spectrum you kind of get from it, which is weird. Kind of hear that like, kind of out there, but I think it's kind of got like vibe to it, right?
And then let's hear it with without the felt.
All right, let's do the A, B.
Sounds like two different pianos. That sounds amazing.
Right?
It probably records really well too.
Two for the price of one. Yes, I do have this clanking thing that I have to get rid of, but the felt option is definitely a cool, like, you know, perk to it.
How do you like to mic the piano? What do you find kind of has worked for you in the past with this
Very
piano?
good. I'll do a stereo pair. I have 8 kg stereo pair of those. Then I'll try to like work some sort of room.
And you'll blend the two together.
Oh yeah, and I tried a few different options. The best is like getting just like the stereo one here.
Do you take the front lid off or just the top?
Yes, I can do that. You want to see that?
Yeah, sure. For all those who don't know how a piano works, this is the mechanisms. The key goes down. Yeah, tell us how a piano works.
The piano teacher once told me, you know, your fingers are like extensions of the hammers inside the piano. I didn't know what that meant. And then now when you open it up, you can kind of see it. As you hit the key with your finger, it hits one of these hammers to hit a string. That tuned string back there. And you tune them through all these little knobs.
And there's a single string on the lower ones and then three strings per note.
Yeah, as it gets higher. And yeah, they're different strings as you see, right? And they get fatter.
And then, so how would you mic it so you have the top off? And where would you place the stereo pair close on the piano?
Low end, high end, sort of kind of get a mixture of those both. And then I do like, so sometimes like I've tried to get like this area of the piano.
Oh, the lower bout.
Yeah, kind of like, you can kind of get some tones out of that. You know, you have to EQ and compress, but then like, sometimes I'll just get a room sound just to kind of blend kind of ambiance out here.
Oh, will you put these, I see you have curtains here. Will you put those up while you're recording?
I like recording strings in the living room. I've really taken the home studio to its like maximum. The only thing I can't do here is record drums, live drums. So yeah, so this is the felt in action.
So the way the felt works is it goes between the hammers and the strings, and it kind of has a little muting effect to it.
Exactly. So like, yeah, it's like this little muted piece of fabric. So you have these little holders when you don't want to use it, and then you just pop it down there. Gotta play a little harder.
With the felt on.
Yeah, you gotta kind of give it a little. But if you see like with the front off, now you really get the. Damn! Let's set up the microphones, I'm ready. That's really all it takes for us, isn't it? Just like a little like little musical kind of like noodling around, and you're like, all of a sudden you just want to do a bunch of stuff.
To most people, the piano bench is just a chair you sit on, but it actually has a secondary function.
That's right. You have the storage on the inside, which again, it used to be piano books. This is my wife's her karaoke thing. This is what she uses to annoy me with. Let's see if it works. Check, check. Welcome to the big show. Yes, so this is what she does. She goes, ha! Very high tech, very high tech. I haven't recorded one of these yet.
It's recorded pretty well. It's got the nice like slap delay on there.
Exactly.
Or more like a tape delay.
Woo! Exactly. I'm sure we could do something with this. Something.
Just surrender if you like what you have. Just surrender and wave your white flag. Just surrender. I think you finally met your match.
Let's go to the kitchen where we have our 2 coffees waiting. And what I liked about this place when I first came is obviously you have the front area, but you have this back entrance. So yeah, so people can just come through, hit up the kitchen, and beeline it into the studio.
Should we go check out the studio?
All right, let's go. This is where I spend a lot of my days, my life. I'll probably die in the studio, but I'm happy that way.
This is such a cool space. It's so organized and creative, and I love the plants and just the natural light too.
Yes, the natural light is big, especially coming from Brooklyn, where I had my other home studio. I really embraced, as you can see, just plant culture, horticulture. I truly believe that these plants thrive here, not only because of the light that they get and the love and nurturing that I give them, but because they're exposed to music every day, and they get to kind of like, be in this space where beautiful music is being made. This is my favorite plant, the prayer plant, they call it. It'll just move randomly. So like when I'm in here working on a track and it like twitches, I know it's sort of reacting. I think it's reacting to the music. Back corner, we have our P bass. This was sort of like the first bass I got. It's like, it's the Squire version, so it's like kind of like the beginning bass version. Every bass player that's come in here, I'm like, oh, I want to kind of get like an upgrade, the P bass. They're like, no, man, this will work. This will do. I found that it does work because I have the secret weapon in the rack mount over there that I know how to, I can kind of control the tone the way I want it and kind of get different things. So listen, string instruments are kind of my new thing, being a piano player, but all these guitars, little plug here, were set up by Gleason Guitars. Ryan Gleason does a fabulous job. I love the way he does things because he does bring you through the process. He goes, oh, I'm doing this. But with the string instruments, I'm still kind of like grasping what everything is like, all the little elements of it. I really kind of just enjoy getting the tones that I want from the analog gear and whatnot. What are my staples? What do the guitar players like? What do I need in here to get every sound that I want? So I got the semi-hollow, and then we got the Strat, Fender Strat. Then we got the Fender Tele. Another Squire. This was like the first one that I got, the first guitar that I got. And then Ryan Gleason set it up, and it just feels amazing and it sounds cool. And
Teles are great. I feel like they can play any genre.
the Tele is the they call that the toolbox or whatever. Got this bad boy. And GS Mini Taylor acoustic.
Taylor makes great acoustics, surprisingly.
Yeah, I'm not mad about this. A lot of the guitars that the guitar playing I use is when I'm doing mostly for like sync or like even some movie work or whatever. If I'm doing like an artist record, I'm bringing in the ringers. And then, they can use these at their disposal, but for the most part, they bring in their own gear. So like a lot of the guitars, I'm kind of just like, I'm using for different aspects of different records that, different elements for whatever I'm kind of working on, I guess. I gotta have a Pothos in every house, every studio.
Is this your go-to vocal mic over here?
This is not. This is a Vanguard audio FET mic. I have 3 live mics always set up ready to go. The V4 from Vanguard. I have the SM7B there, and then I have a 251 mod from a company called Advanced Audio. So a lot of times if an artist is hanging out here working out on a couch and we're just doing demos or whatever, I'll pull the Vanguard because it's easy, it's comfortable. We kind of just go here, and we just set up this mic to do vocals here. Or if we have a guitar player, it's great for guitars. Great, it's an all-around, like, you know, you can use the mic for a lot of different things. If I'm cutting final vocals, I'm going into the booth. So the booth, also my wife's fashion collection. I gotta tell you, there is no amount of sound panels or money that you can pay that will actually do sound absorption and diffusion better than these clothes. Sometimes the artists come in here and they'll want to feel a vibe, or they'll pull this jacket, you know. They'll put this on. They want to feel like Stevie Nicks. Put on this jacket.
That's the only way to record vocals right here.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is the 251. I mean, if I could get a real Telefunken 251, I think that's the next stage. But until then, we have this company by Advanced Audio that makes a really, really good modified version of it. And then we have our little, you know, our little amp bay for the headphone jack, so people can adjust their volume. And that's what I like in here is that, you know, we have the seat here. We got, you know, singers. You got a mirror here if you want to kind of like. You want to just kind of try things out, or you want to look at yourself.
And when you're cutting vocals out here versus on the SM7 or the other mic that you had out there, what do you find tonally different between all of them?
This microphone has a tube in it, so you're already sort of kind of like, you're kind of getting a really warm kind of tone out of this, but it also has really subtle highs, which I really like about it. Female voices, male voices. If you really want a really bright sound, then I'll probably bring in maybe like the AKG 414 or something. It's a brighter mic, but for the most part, I like just the kind of smoothness all around of a 251.
When you do backgrounds on the 251, that works well, or does it get in the way of the lead vocal if it's a lot of the same?
If I'm doing all the same?
Yeah.
I generally stay with the same mic just throughout the whole thing. You know, if I want to do separation, I'll probably do that in the mix. I just love the way that this sounds, and especially, you know, through the analog gear kind of chain that I have. Each one of my rack units has like a specific purpose. Once you get good at knowing your microphones, then, you know, sky's the limit.
Will be on the lips that I may kiss. They won't thrill me like yours used to do. Now I may dream a million dreams, but how can they come true? There will never ever be another you.
Vocal chain, we go through the 610, Universal Audio 610 through the 1176 combo.
So what mic would be going into this vocal chain?
The 251.
Oh, the 251.
The 251 goes into here. Again, if I'm recording off of this mic, vocals over here, I'll just switch the patch bay. And that's generally going to be the chain through all the mics for the vocals. I also like the 610 for bass. It's really nice, warm sound.
Just plugging directly into it.
Just DI into that. And I mean, I'll go through this too. I'll go through this whole chain for bass too. It's a cool vibe. Then the 710, the Universal Audio Twinfinity, which is this. You have this hybrid knob where you can use the tube drive that's in there, or not as a preamp. But what's great about that knob is that, you know, you can really color guitars with this. So I really just specifically use the 710 for guitars. It's like
acoustics, electrics?
Electrics.
With an amp or plugging directly in?
Depends. Like sometimes people will bring pedal boards. Sometimes they'll bring, you know, like the Neural DSP kind of amp, like modifiers. But like everything will kind of go in here, and I can either make it like a really just transparent tone, or I can add the tube and like add drive and stuff. So it really depends on what's going on. There's a lot of options with that. The Neve 1073, which is really good on vocals too, because you have an EQ here, which, like, you know, if anyone who does you know, vocal EQing, they know that there's this kind of like harsh range around 3 to 4K for a lot of singers, so you can kind of do that dip through here, which I like. Really good on string instruments like acoustic guitars.
How often do you find yourself using the EQ on there?
A lot of the analog gear is like, I like to like kind of set it and forget it. Like, it's like, once I find that for whatever that is, it's sort of like there and whatnot. So yeah, so I do have this notch always down around like 3 kilohertz, just to kind of like if I know like it's gonna go through vocals, but then sometimes I'll just kind of turn it off. But it's very subtle. I don't go crazy with the EQ on that, unless sometimes I really want to, and like sometimes if I want to run it back through the Neve and like do some kind of like analog EQ, I might do that. But I also have the SSL EQ to do that. So the 500 series rack, I kind of set up as like my little stereo kind of chain. We have this tube drive saturator and two SSL EQ. And then we have this, it's the Fairchild clone, but they call it the Grandchild. It's a clone of the Fairchild, which anyone who knows this compressor is like the granddaddy Verimute compressor. And this little 500 series has 4 tubes in it, which is like, I don't know how they did it, but it gets incredibly hot.
To people who don't know what tubes are, what is just the basic concept of it? If I was to tell my dad about tubes, he might think of Home Depot, PVC pipe. To my knowledge, tubes were used, you know, old TVs and kind of a lot of the electronics from back in the day. Radios, they all use tubes to as a part of the power supply and the mechanisms of it all. But there's a little glass bottle tube. Yeah. We'll show a picture. And that's in this actual rack unit.
This is what a tube looks like. There you go.
There it is. And so there's 4 of those in that Grandchild or Fairchild.
I think they look a little, I think they're like miniature versions of these.
And the 251 mic has a tube in the actual mic or the power supply?
In the mic, yes. Again, I come from the piano world. You know, I got into tubes, we're like saying tubes like we know what the hell. I got into understanding what all this analog gear is through these electronics, but then also guitar amps and whatnot. And I do know that they all have different sounds to them, so you can switch out tubes to kind of like create different flavors. But the overall, I guess, idea about the different tubes in these units, they create within the circuitry a sort of what they call analog warmth that kind of brings out kind of harmonics within the audio that's coming through and kind of just brings out this like fullness. I've done the difference between a tube, like the Pultec has tubes, has its own kind of tubes in there, right? And so I've done the A/B between a digital version and the analog version. And you can just see at the same level, you're getting a better audio, you're getting a fatter audio, you're getting a fatter kind of like sound. And so I think overall, like when it comes down to the end final result of a record, you've brought out all of the characteristics that you can out of a sound. It really comes through in the final mix. So you can use all these in mono, which is 1, stereo and 2 for you know, people who aren't music people may not think about that. Then we have a DBX, this is like a de-esser. For those who don't know what a de-esser is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It de-esses sounds for for singers and whatnot, which we use a lot, but applicable for high frequency percussion instruments, which I actually like to use for instead. It's not I don't really use it on vocals so much, but if I have like this is applicable, right? If I got something that's like really high frequency, I might throw that on there just to kind of wash out some of like the really harsh sounds of a percussion instrument or a you know, something in the drum set or something, anything like that. This is a subharmonic synth, which is basically, I don't know exactly what's going on under the hood, but it's taking frequencies, the lower frequencies of like, let's say like a kick drum or like an 808 or a bass, and like really kind of like beefing it up.
On a string, I'm sitting on a rainbow. Got that string around my finger. What a world, what a life, baby. Yes, I'm in love.
For all you SM7 B fans, both podcasters and musicians alike, a lot of people may or may not know is it doesn't have a lot of gain that comes out of this mic in general, so a lot of people get what's called a cloud filter, kind of gain. What does it do? It ups the gain,
boost the signal
without really messing with the noise floor or whatever. But Soyuz came out with their own version, which I tried at NAMM one year. Congratulations to NAMM for getting me to get something. And basically they kind of just like, they took it to another level where they actually kind of like color the mic a little bit, kind of give it a vintagey sound. So like you're sort of almost getting a U87 kind of sound through this, kind of, through the SM7B. So I like that. So they got me. They got me as a customer for that.
I'm just getting into Patchbays now. How does this all work? How did you kind of make the transition of not using a Patchbay to starting to use a Patchbay? And was that complex for you, or was it kind of smooth? What was your process like?
Steve, when I tell you the amount of pride that I have in myself for figuring out this Patchbay, I literally spent 2 weeks drawing diagrams of exactly how to make this Patchbay work so that once I put it in and I figured it all out, I would never wouldn't have to go back there and fix it. I got it on my first try, but you have to understand like the signal flow of everything, like the ins and the outs of the Patchbay and how it all works. But once you have it going, and the reason why I got the Patchbay is because I started with one piece of analog gear and then I became obsessed with it, and I figured out all these different uses I could use for different analog gear. And what you want to do is you want to have a really quick way of accessing it. So my entire mantra in this space is to eliminate the friction between the technical side and the creative side. Meaning, like, if I have to be here and like say, oh, I want to use this, or I want to think about this instrument, and I don't have it readily to my availability, then that starts to what I call kind of like kill the mojo, kill the flow. And when you're flowing in music, you want to be able to boom, 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 boom. Oh, I got to do the 6/10. So that's the beauty of the Patchbay. That's the beauty about everything that's set up here. Is once I take one thing and put it here, all of a sudden I'm ready for the next thing. So that is the biggest thing here. And through my entire process is, again, eliminating friction between the creative process and the technical process. And the beauty of all these analog gear kind of components is that they all are different flavors, and they're all different kind of ways that you use them. And that's what makes it exciting when you're kind of going through the process. This is Native Instruments Kontrol S88, I guess it's their MK2 version, the most recent version. It's 2025. Who knows when the next one will come out.
Oh, cool. It's got a little LED screen.
It's got this LED screen, which is connected to Logic, right? If you see the volume knob for the Rhodes, I'm kind of controlling it from here. So essentially, you know, you want to record, it's all controlled through the keyboard. Purists that like to just stay in the keyboard. Do you want me to explain a MIDI controller for those who don't know MIDI controllers?
Because it looks like a piano, but there's no sound that's coming out of it.
Looks like a piano, no sound. It controls the software instruments in my digital audio workstation, DAW, from here on and out. It controls all of the software synths with basically all of these instruments that they've sampled, and they've created the ability to play through the software. And they're only getting better. Like, these instruments are just getting more and more real sounding, and more, it's kind of getting scary. But what I like about this particular MIDI controller is how it works with the DAW and with the actual instruments, and like that you can actually, right? I can control different elements just from the keyboard itself, which you get a little more tactile feel. You're not just over here like this the entire time, which I like too as well. So that's why I got it. And Native Instruments is a very great sample library and a reputable company. And I basically have like every software instrument that they've ever created. So I might as well get the MIDI controller that goes with it.
Was this desk, did it have this pull-out drawer system, or did you install that?
I bought this desk that I found online when I first moved to LA. And like, I love this desk. And the guy had built a keyboard tray. When I got the MK2, it was a much bigger and much beefier keyboard, and the height was more. So I built right here. So before that, I built this little extension. It was really connected to here. Then I built this extra extension on each side so that I could lower it. Because I'm not getting rid of this desk. I love this desk. Producers and anyone who has back problems and get that standing desk, which I think is really helpful. That's why I have this complete eyesore on this beautiful mahogany desk, is I take this up, I put that up, and then I get to work on my feet. Because as most producers know, you get a lot of back problems in this industry because you sit a lot in this little area. You know, when I lived in New York, I walked a lot more, and now that I'm a producer in LA, it's like I do a lot more sitting, a lot of sedentary kind of lifestyling. This is what I like to call Synthland. All of this little kind of spaghetti area is all kind of routed into the patch bay, where I have a left and a right patch. And then through this mixer, I have access to the OB6. I have these little boutique Roland Jupiter and the Juno. A lot of people are like, oh, how do you play like that? How do you play with the keyboard like this? Well, yes, a lot of this is aesthetic. I like kind of like what it's like, but it's not, you know.
And so this is set up as a MIDI controller hooked up to the computer?
Right, so the Korg, the Korg R3, which is, I like this keyboard so much that I have two of them. What I like about this is that it's not as big as like a 41 keyboard, which is like kind of like the smallest MIDI controller, but it's bigger than like the 25 key, which is like your on the move MIDI controller. It's got like 30 plus keys here, so it's got a little more options. I have the other one I use for like live, for my like two keyboard live rig. But this one I kind of, I run it through this MIDI through. So the information that I'm playing here through the MIDI out into the MIDI in of the Jupiter, the Juno, and the OB6, they're all getting that information from this keyboard, right? You just use the mixer to isolate which sound you're using. So the OB6 will be here, then the Juno.
Coming out of there, is it just one stereo pair?
And then then this stereo feed goes into the back of the patch bay, right? And then that back of the patch bay gets routed into inputs 3 and 4 of it's like mad scientisty, isn't it? It goes through into my interface, and then that interface is connected into Synthland, into the DAW here, coming into inputs 3 and 4. It takes one like wrong connection to just mess up your entire day. It really does, because you go, wow, how do I get this? But then that's what I say, once you get it to where like you just have to do a few things, then you can just let the creativity flow like water.
So let's say someone's beginning their journey. They have one keyboard, a guitar, and a vocal mic, and a 2-channel interface. What's a good trajectory or advice you have for them to scale up when they start getting more mics, more gear, so it's not all super overwhelming?
I mean, there was a point when I was making records with just that. I learned about all of this gear through the software gear. I learned about all my microphones through the Slate Digital VMS1, which is a mic emulator where it's basically, they just kind of like, it's a gimmick, but it's cool, they sound good. It kind of brings you through all these different kind of mic characteristics. So that's where I learned, I go to a 251 every time I'm working with a singer or whatever. So that's what prompted me to be like, okay, I guess I should get a 251 because I use it all the time. If you find yourself as a producer who's using a lot of the digital units, figure out, or just see like what you're going to a lot, and then figure out if like you can get that piece of gear, and you'll slowly kind of build it up. All of this piece of gear has come from doing something good, you know, in my career, right? Like, so if I get, you know, a big contract or something, or if I get a big placement, I kind of get one of these things. And I kind of use them as excuses. Okay, so I'm doing kind of like, I'm doing this like folk record. Ooh, I kind of need something that kind of wants that. So yeah, so all of these are representation actually, more so of kind of my progress in music, because they've all come from something that like I've done well. So I was like, oh, I'll treat myself to this new piece of gear, you know?
Man, what an awesome day. We got to go check out Devin's space, learned so much. It was so cool. I'm really glad you got to experience it. I'm definitely very inspired to step outside my comfort zone, try new things, and I hope you are too. The whole reason I created this channel is to be open about being open and trying things new and inspire you to do the same. Thanks for stopping by. If you want to see more of this, please subscribe, leave some comments, some likes. We can continue this journey together and just try new things and explore new things. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you real soon.
Any final words?
I just want to say thank you for coming and touring my studio, my house, playing music. Steve, you're a legend, and I'm just so happy I had a great time.